Now, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on the panel. Did I use the word container in that argument?
No.
So if the sky was a vacuum, on screen for my audience, this black area, claimed by heliocentrists to be 10 to the minus 17 Torr vacuum, a space for this gas to fill. And if the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. Because what gas does is it expands in all directions.
Can you show me a closed container in nature, please?
You're
Coconut.
standing in one.
Coconut.
Begging the question.
Coconut.
Really? How do you know it's closed?
The water doesn't leak out of it.
Or the water inside. So how do you know?
You ever tried to get into a
You
coconut?
can hear it.
Yeah, ever tried to get into a coconut?
It's not an isolated system,
No, your lungs
Coconut.
are-
It's a closed system. Sound still passes through it. You can determine what is in there. That there's a liquid in there.
But who cares? What's your point?
Spawn.
Who cares? Why are you asking, Ed?
How did the liquid get in there?
Well, he lost.
Sorry, why?
You lost.
Why?
Ed,
Hello, trying to talk to Ed, whoever that is. Why do you ask? What's this proving or refuting?
Can you show one or not?
Sorry, you're bringing up this because... Second attempt. Third attempt.
Because you're begging the question with the container. I said closed system, not the word closed. Can you show me a closed container in nature, please? I said closed system, not the word closed. Can you show me a closed container in nature, please?
A coconut is not a closed system, Nathan. Repeat it.
Now, Ed just wants to stick to meta
there you
talking
go.
inward spiraling forever.
Is there anything else, Ed? Is this it? Is this all you got today?
Well, you didn't give me an example of closed container in nature, so
Coconut. Oh, right.
it is a
Still
closed
at that.
container. You said closed system,
no.
but it is a closed container. Come on, bro. Listen.
No, it isn't.
Listen,
It's just
listen. Let me
No.
finish
Yeah, you
responding.
take
You
your
could have
mic
gas
out of your
pressure
mouth.
out
Let
of
me
your
Take your
finish.
mic out of your
Let
mouth.
me finish responding, and then
Yeah, if you take your mic out of your mouth.
okay, great. So,
All right, thank you.
so you want to know how the water gets into the coconut? Water absorbed by the root system flows against gravity for whatever fucking reason through the capillaries to the nut. Fresh water that gets accumulated in coconut is actually endosperm, or the food or nourishment for the coconut's growth. So, like Nathan said, after it falls off of the tree, the water is contained.
Bye, Ed.
But it's not a closed system, though.
You sound, I mean, you're ridiculous.
It's the
Yeah, you can
system of
laugh it off,
coconut.
but
Well, if it's not closed, what is it then, Ed?
closed system.
There's only so many
No,
options
Arwin.
concerning
I didn't
systems.
say no, Arwin.
No, you did. You did. You
Arwin,
said
I didn't say
coconut's not
closed. I
closed.
said
You
closed
said
system.
specifically
what
a coconut's
is it
not
then?
closed. You
It's
It's
fucking
not a closed
moron.
system.
Closed system. Not the word closed. Closed system. You're not
Fine.
listening.
Yeah,
Can you show me a closed container in nature, please? Not the word closed. Closed system. You're not
Fine.
listening.
yeah, that's what
And
I
where
said.
is
So
this
if it's not a
recorded,
closed
right? You know this
system,
is
what is it
recorded?
then?
Why
Not
don't you
a closed
define for us
system.
closed system, Ed?
Who
Define
cares?
it
So
for
what's
us.
your point?
that's a good
Okay, Ed, what's your point? What does this prove or disprove?
I'm
Answer that
still
first.
waiting for that
So we're
closed
going to ask that he's waiting for an example, right? Okay, fine.
nature.
For what? What's it prove?
That you're begging the question with this gas pressure container.
No, you need pressure, a container to have pressure. Sorry.
Right, and show
That's
me the
enough. You
closed
have to feed
container,
him, buddy.
please, in nature. Closed container in nature, please.
Coconut.
Coconut.
Cantaloupe, watermelon.
Yeah, no,
he,
that's
he,
not-
he,
no,
he,
that's
he
not
asked
closed.
again. You
Bye,
asked
Ed.
again. You said closed
Bye, buddy.
container. Closed
They
container.
think they have
Just
us here.
now.
It's like a
Uh-huh.
gotcha.
Closed
He thinks he's
moron.
got a gotcha.
So a coconut is a closed container.
Okay,
No,
let's let Ed
it's not a
make his
closed system,
conclusion.
though,
Ed,
so-
No, but is it a closed container like you just asked for in
he's
nature?
asked for it. He's
Closed
got one.
container.
Ed,
Is it
hold
yes
on,
or no?
Elijah. Hold on.
Nope.
Okay, Ed. What's your conclusion? Go ahead. It's your moment, my friend.
Yeah, like I said, you're begging the question with this container around the Earth.
What container?
You're saying it's a natural law or something, which doesn't even make sense. But then you can't provide one closed container in nature.
Coconut. But
So
my example
you're
isn't
begging
the
the
container.
question.
No. That isn't my example. Maybe you've misunderstood my
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
Maybe
You're
talk through
begging
me.
the question.
Maybe talk through me. My example is that we have gas pressure. My argument is we have gas pressure here.
Yep. And you say it needs a container. So show me a container in nature, please.
No. That's not what I claim.
Closed container.
And maybe
Go ahead.
Fundy mute me constantly. You done it? Or am I going to get a chance to respond without you talking through me incessantly?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Ed. My example's really specific. I intentionally don't claim a container.
Oh, so gas pressure doesn't require a container. Thanks.
No, that's not what I claimed. Gas pressure absolutely requires containment. Without the container, there can be no pressure. So, my argument is that if the... Fundy mute time? If the sky was a... Fundy mute time, clearly. Second attempt. How many attempts before I get to make my conclusion, Ed? Your conclusion,
you're
going to talk through me constantly.
I'd say about 7.
Someone mute him, please. Can't control himself. I asked him to make his conclusion. His conclusion was I was begging the question of a container. Now I'm into me pointing out that my argument doesn't require a container, and in fact I shy away from my personal understanding that one is definitely there. Because in my argument it's not required. Because if the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. That's my argument, Ed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody on the panel. Did I use the word container in that argument?
No.
So if the sky was a vacuum, on screen for my audience, this black area, claimed by heliocentrists to be 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, a space for this gas to fill. And if the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. Because what gas does is it expands in all directions. And if there's nothing for it to bounce off, then it just fills this space. Therefore, the sky is not a vacuum. Now, I don't claim to know what it is. I definitely don't claim it's a container. Others do, though, Ed. That's just not me. I claim the sky is not a vacuum, space is fake. Maybe you'd like to address that.
Ouch.
Maybe straw man me with a few more containers I don't argue about, Ed.
Yeah, you muted me, so I couldn't reply.
So you couldn't refute me by rumpusing me?
Right, so the answer is you said containment. So
No, I didn't.
then could it
Hey,
be
liar.
like a...
Liar.
could it be a
Mute him
fork
again.
or-
Someone mute him. He's just
Wait,
a liar.
Did you mute Discord
Yeah,
already?
fucking mute this twat. No, I did not mention containment. If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. Said it a bit slower for you, Dumbo. Now I'll ask the panel again, so he can't lie a second time. Did I mention container?
Nope.
No, Ed, you
Negative.
dumb shit. Oh, he's gone on server deafen like Rumpus. If he can't completely ignore my claim, the actual claim, he won't listen to it. If he can't interrupt it constantly and actually gets muted, then he'll go on server deafen so he doesn't have to listen to it. So now he's off server deafen. If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. No mention of containment, Edmund. You want to straw man me again?
So gas pressure doesn't require containment. Thank you.
If the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill it. Space is fake. I didn't mention containment. That's the second use of a straw man, Ed. Why are you straw manning me with containers when I'm debunking space as a vacuum?
So does the atmosphere go on forever then?
I don't know. I know it's not a vacuum though, Ed. Because if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space.
Right, so gas doesn't require containment then. Just want to make that absolutely
Oh, no,
clear.
it absolutely requires containment, because if it didn't have any, it would
it
just
does.
fill... You're going to talk through me, Ed. Time for the argument that's continuing with me refuting what you've just said to be talked through, right? Do I need to tell the panel to mute you again so you don't fundy mute every response?
Go ahead, Nathan. Go ahead.
Further to your rebuttal in regards to the sky vacuum, your assertion is that... you're now claiming, Ed, that you don't need containment for gas pressure. That's now your claim, Ed. So can you prove your claim that you
No, that's
don't...
not my claim.
Why are you fundy muting me, Ed? You just claimed it. I didn't have any claims about containment.
You're
Your
lying
response
about
to me, Ed,
I
don't
was
fundy
asking
mute
you.
me. Don't fundy mute me, coward. Your response in this debate we're having on
Not
this
fundy
debate
muting
platform. Fundy mute from the coward respondent. 4 times, Ed. You coward. Being pummeled.
Yeah, why don't you just mute
Why
me?
don't you listen to my response? That would be to say my argument didn't include containment. Your response did, Ed. So your claim is that you don't need containment for gas pressure. That's your claim, Ed. You just claimed it. Not me. Didn't mention containment once. You did, and you are claiming that you don't need containment. Can you prove your claim, Ed, that you don't need containment to have gas pressure beyond your fundy belief in a sky vacuum? Can you do that, Ed? Your claim, mate, not mine.
I didn't make any claim. So gas pressure doesn't require containment. Thank you. I didn't make any claim.
Oh, really? I heard you specifically say that you didn't need containment for gas pressure.
So gas pressure doesn't require containment.
Your claim! You just made it, Ed.
Multiple times.
Multiple times, Ed. I didn't mention
So
containment. You
if
did.
the gas pressure...
In fact, you came in asking about containment. Yeah? This is definitely your claim, Ed.
Show me the gas being contained in nature.
Sorry, that's your claim, Ed. You're reversing the burden of proof and getting me to prove your claim that you don't need containment for gas pressure, because that's your claim you're yet to prove, Ed. Why aren't you proving your claim? You're just making up stuff on the spot and not proving it. You've claimed you don't need containment for pressure. Your claim, Ed. Why aren't you proving that? Show me gas pressure without a container. That's what you've just claimed, Ed. Not me, you. So show it.
No, that was a conclusion based on the logic you presented.
No, that's not a conclusion. You definitely need containment, and you're claiming you don't.
So gas pressure doesn't require containment. Right, well then show me.
No,
Show me.
you're the claimant. The positive claim from Ed.
So gas pressure doesn't require containment.
I can just get a tank of any gas to show it needs containment. You're saying you don't need that, Ed.
Show me gas being contained in nature. Very
Sorry.
easy.
I can show containment for gas. Any gas requires containment. My argument is if the sky was a vacuum, that would be a space for gas to fill. You said logically you can conclude you don't need containment, but you haven't validated that, Ed. I can validate my claim. You're saying I've got to give you a natural example of containment. Okay, well, when I gave you one, you didn't like it. That was how you came in with you and your talk of containers. Me, I'm talking about how the sky's not a vacuum. I didn't mention containers. But you're yet to validate any of your claims about containers, Ed.
It's not that I didn't like your example. It was a flawed example. So can you try again?
Why? You're the one talking about containers. You're the one saying you don't need one for gas pressure. So can you show me an example of what you've claimed? Or not?
I didn't claim anything. Gas pressure doesn't require containment. Thank you. I didn't claim anything. You said
You said you don't need containment for gas pressure. Your logical conclusion's flawed. Therefore, you don't need a container. That's what you said multiple times. And now you're fundy muting the shit out of me.
Nathan,
Why are you
you're fundy
fundy muting
me.
the shit out of me? When I point out you have claimed it, you don't like it, because then you've got to back your claim. And you'd rather fundy mute me telling you to back your claim, wouldn't
Nathan,
you?
why are you
You'd
fundy
much
muting
rather
me?
just
I wasn't
fundy
finished
mute
with
me.
my answer.
Wouldn't you, you
I
scumbag
wasn't finished with
loser?
my answer.
It's so much easier than to just fundy mute the crap out of your opponent when he tells you to back the claim you've made. You claimed you don't need containment. You put it on me that it was my logic that drew you to that conclusion. And all you've got in response is the fundy fucking mute button.
No.
Yeah, that's all you're doing.
No, I wasn't done with my answer yet, and you started rumpusing through me like you always do.
Don't project what you've just done onto me. You haven't given me an example. You've used my logic by your standards to claim you don't need containment for gas pressure. That's your claim.
Gas pressure doesn't require containment. Thank you.
Prove it.
It's your logic.
No! My logic is the sky vacuum is violated because gas would fill it.
But you...
So how'd you get from if the sky was a vacuum, gas would fill it, to you don't need containment?
Gas pressure.
Oh, so Fundy mute me. Fundy mute me again. Someone mute him. Asshole can't shut up when I make my conclusion. He's ignoring me. He's talking through me and chanting.
No, I'm not.
Mute him. Mute him. I want him to know when he's being muted. So it's clearly reasonable that it happens. Oh, server deafen time. So the conversation can't carry on. Because he knows my conclusion, if heard, has a response that can't come. So he talks through every damn word of it. And when it's taken to the point where we mute him, he server deafens. So he doesn't have to listen. He's a total coward. He's absolutely unequivocally claimed you don't need containment. He's even put it on me and said it's my logic that's drawn him to that conclusion. I'm not saying you don't need containment. I didn't mention containment. I say if the sky's a vacuum, the gas we breathe will fill the space. He doesn't want to hear it. He does want to chant through it because he's made a claim we don't need containment. It's his claim. He wants to put it on me and say my logic's drawn him to it. What a total coward.